Emirates last week announced a strong return to form, but is the revival coming at the expense of employer satisfaction? That's the topic of today's edition of Inside AB. I'm Jeremy Lawrence and I'm joined here in the studio by Sheikh. So Sheikh, Emirates announced their profits last week. They were pretty good, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, they've returned to $1 billion in group profits. Airline profits are up by 124%, over $700 million. They've brought in a net of 9 new aircraft this year, which, I mean, 17 in, phased out 8. And this was all despite fuel costs rising by up to 28%. Last year in the 2016-17 results, they were 25%. So it's a huge contrast, Emirates' results from last year when profits dropped by 70%. So Emirates is, back on the upward curve again.
Okay, yeah, there really are big figures we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yet we have seen reports in various outlets that we've got pilot shortages and cabin crew shortages. So what's happening there?
Well, in January, it was confirmed to Arabian Business that Emirates, because of the turbulent year it had last year, was going through a bit of a restructuring. There were some lateral moves that had been offered to employees. Some employees were moved to senior roles, but some employees were moved to junior roles, and Emirates had confirmed that this impacted, their benefits package. The cabin crew issue has been bubbling for a while. Reuters reported that talks had taken place with the chief operating officer, Adil Arada, in February, and this was mostly about, changes to rosters and cabin crew complaining about, having to, work more. So now it seems there have been a spate of new resignations and, a lot of cabin crew calling in sick. And that is why there's this conversation taking place about disgruntled employees at Emirates.
Okay, we should emphasize this is according to some reports. But what does Emirates have to say about this?
Well, Sheikh Ahmed, during the post-earnings press conference last week, did acknowledge that, yes, 2% of employees had left. Now, Emirates employs about over 100,000 people, over 105,000 people. So 2% is roughly 2,000 employees, which seems like a lot. But for an organization of its size, it's really quite normal for that many employees to leave. He was insistent that people did love working for Emirates. And, in a lot of ways, it kind of shows. Emirates has 25,000 people at Emirates work as just cabin crew, and there are constantly more people trying to join those cabin crew positions. There is some disgruntlement because the work hours and, the different, the ways that their shifts were arranged have changed. But Emirates was Sheikh Ahmed was quite insistent when he said, technology is automating a lot of our processes, so we're really looking for efficiency, but that people do love working at Emirates.
Well, efficiency is the name of the game for all companies, isn't it, nowadays?
Absolutely, and no one more than Emirates. Emirates works like a complete machine. What's
going to happen going forwards then with all this?
Well, what Emirates needs to contend with right now is obviously, first of all, the pilot shortage. They're short about 150 pilots.
Which is a worldwide issue, by the way, isn't it, for all companies? There's a pilot shortage worldwide.
There's a dearth of pilots around the world. The Chinese airlines are really actively recruiting a lot of pilots, which is adding to that kind of a shortage. But Emirates did come up with its Emirates Flight Academy last year and is training 170 people at its flight academy to become pilots. So it's quite proactive in that issue. Thierry, the chief commercial officer, Thierry Antinori, had mentioned that what Emirates needs to do is really just communicate to prospective pilots at its airline the benefits of working in Dubai. Emirates offers, really comprehensive pay package, including healthcare and allowances, all tax-free, and that Dubai is really a world-class city and a much better option for them to come to.
Well, of course, and this, I think, again, winding out a little bit, perhaps 10 years ago, Dubai was still seen as a hardship posting and big corporations like Emirates would pay accordingly. Now we hear job recruiters saying it's a paradise posting. People will sometimes come here from their home countries for less money. Of course, there's a tax equation in that as well. So you probably are going to see these teething troubles as Dubai moves from what it was to what it has become.
Yeah, these are growing pains for, the world's biggest international airline and obviously the UAE's biggest company. Maybe in the next few months and years, we'll see that, these troubles have decelerated in the kind of attention that they're getting.
And they have given out a bonus as well this year.
Yep, a 5 weeks bonus. In fact, that's the Emirates average, is usually about 4.5 weeks. In some years when profits are really high, they've given up to like 13 weeks of a bonus.
Wow, which is a lot more than a lot of employees get from their
Yeah.
employers. Okay, well, thank you, Sheikh. Thanks for giving us the rundown there. And you've been watching Inside AB. Please do join us every weekday at 10 a.m. And as usual, comment and subscribe and let us know if you get that 5 week bonus a year as well. All right, see you tomorrow.